Welcome into extra time, second day of the year, the holiday period officially done with now.
We didn't get a holiday.
No
holidays. We just work. There's soccer, football, call it what you want. Never stops in England.
You wouldn't have known the holiday period was done today, Shaq, and this place was still a ghost town. I guess people are still...
She's been here the last couple of days. There's a ton of people by comparison today.
Yeah, today was empty.
Today was empty?
I don't know where everyone is. Yeah.
You said that's the second day in a row you've said that. Are you driving around the car parks?
Yes.
I mean, like...
Yesterday was really empty. Today, you know, regular work day, isn't it? But could have fooled me.
No Stevie and no Ali.
No, well...
Apart from that,
not for
I thought everybody else was here.
There's an exception to every rule.
Yeah.
Stevie's normally the exception.
What are you pointing at me for? I've been here for the last 6 months, non-stop.
Holding this fort down.
That's right. Somebody has to show up.
What have you got? Any decent ones for us today? I got some decent ones, not like those dauber ones from 2018.
Well, not surprisingly, I'll give you one guess about which name dominates the first couple of questions. Should Pulisic fans be worried that Maurizio Sarri, after the game today, has admitted he didn't know the signing was happening until it did? He kind of said, yeah, I know the player, I like him, but I wasn't aware we were going to sign him until today.
Who am I getting? Oh, and he's not... Oh, right, Freddie Adu. Oh, and he's not coming till... All right, so I'll see him on... I'll see him at the end of the week for... Oh, no, he's not coming till the summer.
But is it really something to worry about? I mean...
I don't think it's a surprise.
No.
I didn't think Sarri would go out and... I didn't think it would be a Sarri signing.
Right.
Yeah, but...
a club signing.
I think it's something to worry. I still kind of old-fashioned in that the manager identifies who he wants and, you know, tells the chairman or director of football or whoever it is, and they put it all together. But for the manager to be totally in the dark,
yeah,
I do understand.
But the truth is, especially a club like Chelsea, there are so many other people involved, and as you said, Sarri,
yeah, but to not know who the player is that's coming.
At least mention it to him in passing.
When it's $70-odd million,
Maurizio.
And when you're under pressure, he's not. And we talked about this in the show. He's not at a club where fourth's acceptable, where third's acceptable, second's not acceptable.
Right.
At Chelsea. So he needs to know what's going on because it's his backside that's on the line when Abramovich sacks him, and he will be sacked at some point because every manager at Chelsea under Abramovich has come in, had success, and then been sacked.
And then the line at the end of it will be, he spent this amount of money and this is what you got. When, at the very least, 70 million so far, he doesn't even know about.
Pulisic is a great young player. I've got to laugh. I had a laugh today at some of the Americans who you just can't tell them. And they've got it in their head that the only reason he's not playing at Dortmund is because he's got a pending transfer coming up. What is it with people? Why can't they just understand or admit that, you know, Lucien Favre has got two better options in his mind at the moment? That's not well, you know, it's not been disrespectful to the player, but for God's sake, there's a I don't know, there's like a force in this country where when a young guy comes along who's very good, it's like the protectionism just comes around and they just surround this guy and he can do no wrong. It's quite scary, isn't it? Am I making friends again?
No, I mean, you know...
I haven't got my green card yet. I mean, I'm trying. If that affects it, I mean, I might be in trouble here. I'm trying.
You know, there's always a yearning for a superstar in this country.
Why is that?
Well, because the game is still...
Why is that?
It's almost in its infancy still here. They feel a superstar would help elevate the game.
Correct. They need that to justify a certain standing. But, you know, I don't agree. I don't think you need it.
Right.
But that's me.
You're not going to get a superstar. You're not... A superstar is Lionel Messi, is Cristiano Ronaldo. You're not going to get that. You've had great players that have travelled well and done fantastically well. But let's be honest, you're not. The next Messi is not popping out. Yeah.
You're in Trinidad right now.
Yes.
Certainly not in Scotland.
After that ringing endorsement from Sarri, I guess the nitty-gritty, Jack asks, who do you reckon Pulisic would replace if he were to be in the starting 11 right now for Chelsea?
Well, it's probably looking at... Well, the player on his side would be Willian.
Yeah.
However, he's not currently replacing him, so it'll be a... It's a wait and see. particularly for a manager who wasn't the one that signed you, to Shaka's point. It's like, that always sets alarm bells ringing for me.
But you said during the show, didn't you, Willian will be 31, Pedro's going to be 32.
It's not exactly ancient, but it's older.
But you sense there will be openings in attacking midfield.
I mean, he's 10 years younger than those two, so at some point, you know, the hope is, or the expectation is, that they move on and somebody has to fill that void. And right now, I'm not sure that there are that many players available who can, if it happens sooner rather than later. But as of right now, if I'm picking a team right now, I still go with Willian over Pulisic. But, you know, maybe that changes in a 2 or 3 years.
And the other myth that comes out from those that seem to be supping quite a lot of New Year's clown juice is that Sarri will...
Oh, that famous old brew.
There's plenty going around, it seems. Is that... and I mentioned it on the show, for those that didn't see it, is... what am I going to say? Is Pulisic will suit Maurizio Sarri's style of football.
Yeah.
Just go and look at the amount of managers, permanent and temporary, that Roman Abramovich has had, the Russian, since he bought the club and owns the club. And then try and figure it out for yourself how long managers get at Chelsea. Right? And have some more clown juice and come back and tweet us. There you go.
All right, let's move on to a different attacking midfielder. Cammy asked, does Craig believe that Eriksen is as good a midfielder as De Bruyne? His attacking output is brilliant. Or would you comparing those two?
You know, I personally would favour De Bruyne. However, it's no detriment to Eriksen. He's a fabulous player. We're splitting hairs here.
Yeah.
With some of these real top players, we're splitting hairs because it's a preference. Yeah. My personal preference is a fit Kevin De Bruyne.
So is mine. I'd go with Kevin De Bruyne. I will say though that I saw De Bruyne, Eriksen at Ajax when he was coming up, and I didn't think he'd make it to be this good at this level. Even now, I'm still thinking, is Eriksen really? Can he take the physicality at a higher level? And he continues to amaze me as to how well he's done every aspect of his game. So saying De Bruyne over Eriksen, I don't mean that as any kind of disrespect or non-recognition of Eriksen's talents, because he is outstanding.
Shagger, this next one's for you, and I know you'll enjoy this particularly. Did you know that Steven Gerrard's equaliser in the 2006 FA Cup final was in once it left his boot? If not, when? And is it the best goal you've conceded?
That's brilliant.
Well, to answer the last question, I don't know what's the best goal I've conceded. That's not for me to judge. I try to forget them as quickly as possible.
It has to be that one, doesn't it?
I try to forget them as quickly as possible. I mean...
What about the header I scored past you at St James?
I don't remember that at all. I don't remember that. Till you pulled it up on YouTube.
Right.
Somehow you had it saved in your favourites.
I didn't. I had to.
He had it saved in his favourites.
Don't have favourites on YouTube.
Yeah, right.
I had to see if I'd scored against you.
I've never seen somebody find a video in 0.23 seconds
was it a
on
loop
YouTube.
No, it was
Did it loop up?
It was a corner kick. It was a set piece, and he was rooted to his line just for a change. And I ghosted in, bullet header. Lost 3-1.
Never saw it. Never saw
anyway,
it.
Why did you bother diving for that?
You should post that on Twitter, Craig.
No idea.
You go.
Oh, it's just in his favourites.
Did you know it was in? That's classic.
At what point did you know it was in?
When it went past him.
That's it. It wasn't a long time between him hitting it and it going past me.
Yeah.
He hit that.
Yeah.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
Sorry, lads, I knew it was in. He could strike a ball, he could.
That was my last game in English football. That was
it?
Yeah.
Oh, no wonder not stopping that.
Right after that.
Yeah.
Well, what a way to go out.
Short of the Germany, I might add.
Oh, yes.
Stop in Germany.
Little matter of a World Cup in between those two, but ports of call. Are you the most famous person to come out of your hometown? Asks Flashy. And if not, who is?
Out of my hometown?
Out of your hometown. It has to be your hometown.
I don't have a big hometown.
Well,
I mean, Trinidad and Tobago together is 1.3 million people. I'm from Diego Martin. You're talking tens of thousands here.
Right.
I guess so.
Is it Port of Spain?
I'm from.
Not actually your hometown.
No, I'm not from. I'm from Diego Martin, which is northwest of Port of Spain.
So you are the most famous person to come out.
I'm claiming it. Yes, I'm going to claim that.
Any cricketers ever come out of that town? No.
Nah, not from. Not. Actually, Dwayne Bravo's from Diego Martin.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly where, but he's from Diego Martin.
He's a cricketer.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah.
Oh, he's bigger than you then.
Yeah, no. He's playing in India right now.
I come from the smallest town. It's 10,000 people. But I think it's safe to say I'm probably the most hated person that's come out of that town.
What's the name of the town? It's not Ayr, is it?
It's broadcasting. No, it's a little. Stevie's from Troon. I'm from a little place in Ayrshire on the west coast of Scotland called Cumnock.
Yeah.
Now, there are other professional footballers have come out of there. Billy Dodds, who played for Rangers in Scotland. My uncle, George, who
of course
played for Ipswich with Paul and played for Scotland and managed Scotland. There might have been one or two others years ago. So, yeah. Definitely the most hated. Yeah. particularly after going into broadcasting and upsetting a few people. But yeah, I don't know. You? What about you?
Well, I come from Swindon, so obviously, Swindon.
You are the most famous.
Swindon has produced so many world-class footballers and musicians.
Like who?
Well down the list.
Like who? Yeah, look at it. You've had to think far too hard.
The lead singer of XTC, remember them?
No, I don't.
Come on. XTC.
What's his name?
Andy Partridge. Andy Partridge, most famous person from Swindon. Maybe.
Goodness me.
It's quite a boring town, isn't it?
Yeah. It is, yes.
Yeah.
Lots of roundabouts.
Yeah.
No.
None of the players that have ever played for Swindon ever come from Swindon, so I was going to claim.
I used to live in Reading. I played for Reading, and Reading was boring, and Reading was the exciting town right next door to Swindon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's where the UK version of The Office was. Actually, it was set in Slough, but they had another office in Swindon, didn't they?
Do you know what I get when I go back to my hometown? I don't go back very often because I generally go back to England, where I've lived most of my life playing. But when I do venture back to see my dad, who's still there, people are very infatuated with accents.
Yeah.
And apparently, I don't know about you, if you get this, but
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Apparently, I'm a traitor because my accent has differed from what it was when I left when I was 16 and how they still speak in that town. Yeah. Because if I was to speak now,
I get hammered all the time.
Like they speak in Cumnock, you probably don't understand this anyway, but you definitely would have no clue.
I get hammered.
And yet they're paranoid about your accent changing.
Yeah.
Like you're going to move to London when you're 16 and still talk like you were talking in a small town, and all these cockneys in London are going, what the hell is he saying?
Yeah. So when you get stopped in the US and people say, where are you from, and they have a guess at where you're from, what do they say?
In the local bars that I occasionally go into, I've definitely had Ireland.
Yeah.
And I've had Australia.
I have Australia a lot.
I get Wales. I get Wales a lot. I get Wales a lot. Actually, my mom says that she finds when she hears the Welsh speak, it reminds her of how we speak in Trinidad for some reason.
Really?
Don't ask me. I never picked that up.
Yeah.
But I know, just briefly, one of the things that I do get, and when the people find out that you're Scottish, because you know, like lots of Americans like to travel to Scotland and Ireland and whatever, and drink whiskey and see the sights and do all that, is that when they say you're from Scotland, you go, I'm from Scotland. Oh yeah, they've either been or they're going, but those that have been normally always say to me, yeah, I went over there and they had a great time and went up to Inverness and saw that, and I met this guy, Jimmy. Do you know him? Jimmy Smith. I'm like, I know him. Oh, every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to Scotland, somebody said, I've been to Scotland, I loved it there, and I particularly loved Cork. And I went, that's Ireland. Right. Yeah, but, you know, bit of water between it, who cares, you know, same.
Minor quibbles.
You know.
Minor details.
People do love going to Scotland, though.
All right. Good stuff.
Get a chance, go. Drink the whiskey. I don't drink whiskey myself.
It was a pleasure spending this time with the most famous person to ever come out.
Listen, you never got the memo. You got to have a beard to be on this show.
That's right.
I'm
going to beard for 2019.
Catching up to do. You're well down the road.
Yeah, it takes a while, my beard.
Right, let's go. I've got some wine to drink.
Just add water. Yeah, you do, don't you? We'll be back tomorrow after the.
Just add water to what?
Back after the City-Liverpool game tomorrow.
What are you talking about?
We'll see you then.
G'day.
I have no idea.
G'day, Australia. The swagger that they had early on in the season with this slick passing game and creating chances for fun, even with a struggling front line, but still managing to overcome that has well and truly gone. Morata played today because there was no Giroud. And he was pretty awful again. I mean, he missed a couple of. He scored one, but he was offside just for a change.
Yes.
You know, because he seems to always get himself ahead of the ball there. And then he had a great chance in the first half from a header, which should have been his bread and butter, from around the penalty spot, which wasn't a difficult chance. The keeper was off his line, and it was quite a simple header to head it over him, you would think, and he completely fluffed his line. So the big concern for Chelsea is the chasing pack. You know, Arsenal are not the greatest side, but they're picking results up. And now United have got rid of Mourinho. They're starting to get results. So Chelsea's place in the Champions League next season is going to come under a bit of pressure. Personally, I think he's an excellent player.
Yeah.
An excellent player, lots of talent. But he's not playing at Dortmund at the moment for a reason, and that's because Lucien Favre, in their top of the league, has better options than Brun Larsen, in his opinion, and Jadon Sancho, who's been excellent and has made his England debut. But the one thing I would say about this is you have to make the right move, and it has to work for you. Looking at this move to Chelsea, it's a great move from a big club, a great club, to another great club, but it comes with risk. When we look at some of the players Chelsea have signed in recent years, some big names who have struggled to go in there and make the mark, it's quite daunting. You know, Bakayoko being the recent one, Batshuayi for huge money. Cuadrado was more experienced. You've got Zuma, you've got Mo Salah who went in there as a 21-year-old. Then you've got Schürrle, then you've got one of the best players in the world in Kevin De Bruyne, and of course Romelu Lukaku, who had to go out on loan and is now plying his trade at Man United. But whether you blame Mourinho or anybody else for this, all these guys went into Chelsea and they struggled. They struggled to get game time, and you know, they had to move on somewhere else to get it. And the point being is that what he's not getting at the moment is minutes on the field. And whilst he's got time on his side, he really has to gain experience, and he's not going to get that sitting on the bench. I'm not saying he will, but he might, and it has happened to better players than Christian Pulisic, and he's got to hope for his sake that whoever's managing that football club really likes him, and he's going to get game time.
Because it's not necessarily going to be Sarri, as you pointed out.
Well, that's the other point. Lots of people are saying, well, you know, Maurizio Sarri, Christian Pulisic will suit the way Sarri plays. That's understandable, but one of the other things we looked at was the Chelsea model for how their management structure is, and Chelsea model the structure on Real Madrid, because what they do is, if they have no success, they chop and change their manager. Now, that has been very successful for them, but that means as a player, when you go to a club like Chelsea, you don't know in 12 months, 18 months or 2 years who's going to be managing that football club, because Roman Abramovich does not see the top four, like some clubs, as success. If you don't win trophies at Stamford Bridge, you're out.
You must have suspected it was going to be different under Solskjaer, but perhaps not this different.
Yeah, I mean, I think the mood in the camp was pretty down under Mourinho. It was always going to be a lift, but the games, like Craig says, the 4 games they've had have been games that you would expect them to win. I mean, perhaps not under Mourinho, but generally Man United win these games. Tottenham away is the next league game, and that for me is a real test. I mean, Tottenham at Wembley hammered United last season. It was a 2-0 hammering, really, and I think United have got to be careful when they go there that we haven't seen Solskjaer tactical now yet. Can he set up a team against a good team like Tottenham? What can he do when they go behind, when they have to change a game, when they have to change a formation? He's not had to do that yet. And I do think that the danger at the minute is that if Solskjaer does well and continues to do well, that it gives United a problem they don't really want, that the emotion takes over, that everybody wants Solskjaer to get the job. And it starts to remind me of Roberto Di Matteo at Chelsea, that, yeah, he's brought a bit of a smile to everyone's face, and he might even win something, but they've got to be cold-headed and ruthless about this. End of the season, they have to make a cold judgment. Is he the right man to take United forward? Let's wait and see.
Guess who we'll finally get to see at Manchester United again, Shaka?
Who?
Alexis Sanchez, as he's set to return. It's been almost 3 months since he scored a goal. He's missed out on 9 games because of an injury, and he's now entering a new time at Manchester United. Shaka, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says he thinks he still can bring the best out of the Chilean. Now, before I question you as to what that probably is or how he will be able to do it, just looking back now that Jose Mourinho is gone, just what was not clicking for Alexis Sanchez at Man United so far?
I'm not sure, and that's a difficult question. That both your questions quite clearly are going to be difficult for anybody to answer, because nobody can put a finger on it. I think it's easy to forget exactly how good Alexis Sanchez was for Arsenal, and then before that, albeit to a lesser extent, for Barcelona. And why both Manchester City and Manchester United were vying for his services. He chose Manchester United. Manchester United chose to pay him the wages that he's on. And it just never worked. And you look at Alexis Sanchez, who wants to play all his football in the attacking third. And for me, why you see so many of those players struggle under Jose Mourinho is because nobody has that luxury. It seems as though your primary thought has to be, even when you're going forward, what are my defensive responsibilities? What position do I take up defensively if it breaks down? And that, for me, has stifled players like Alexis Sanchez, like Paul Pogba, like Martial and Rashford. And now all of a sudden, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer comes in, says, listen, your primary, or the team's primary function is to get forward. That's how we played under Sir Alex Ferguson, and that's how we're going to play now.
So you expect him to fit right back in?
I expect him to be a whole lot better than we've seen from him under Jose Mourinho.
But like Arsenal days? Because that would be his best in his career.
I would like to think so. And again, just kind of give him the freedom that Solskjaer has allowed these players. I don't see why not. Just look at the difference between Pogba then and now. Martial, Rashford.
He's got a couple of years on them, though, Shaka.
Yes, but Manchester United signed him, what, 12 months ago? I mean, that's not, or shouldn't be that big a difference between how good he can be or how good he should be and what we've seen and maybe what we should expect. So I'd like to think that, yes, you can get the best out of Sanchez. I think Manchester United also need to see Alexis Sanchez back to his best. Because while he's there and an expensive luxury, as much as it's money down the drain, I think the long-term knock-on effect is also when players like, and we've seen David De Gea and Martial and all the others who are going out of contract, or anybody you want to renegotiate with, Alexis Sanchez becomes the bar. How can I accept, for argument's sake, 200 grand a week, dare I say, when I'm playing and playing well, and Alexis Sanchez is making 400 for doing nothing?
Yeah.
And that's the issue that Manchester United have long term, while Alexis Sanchez is still there and not really doing anywhere near what he was brought to do.
Well, you expect him to definitely get back to his best, and he's got a fabulous name, so I expect him to get back to his best as well. Alexis.
Now that Christian Pulisic's transfer to Chelsea in 2019 has been confirmed, including a loan back to Dortmund for the rest of the season, more details are emerging. It is my understanding that a transfer was very close to being completed in the summer, but then Dortmund were adamant that the player had to stay for another season. Negotiations continued, and by the autumn there was indeed a framework in place for the deal to go through, as it just has done. I think the proviso was always that Dortmund wanted it to be kept very quiet, not to be a distraction while the regular season was going on. There's no coincidence that it was announced now in the off-season as far as the German league leader is concerned. I think it also reflects a view that he is somebody they feel Chelsea can upgrade their flanks, their attacking options, irrespective of whether Eden Hazard stays or indeed leaves, and that he has been very much in the thinking of Sarri from the very outset.
Last year, you know, rightly or wrongly, even in the Champions League, I think when Liverpool knocked them out, I picked City. They had a bad time, they had a terrible time at Anfield. They were taken apart. But I kind of trusted them in most games. Whenever I was watching them, I found it difficult to find a way that they would lose. Yeah. I haven't got that feeling at this moment in time. I just don't. I think they've looked a bit more fragile. You know, I talked about Walker. He's just been making one or two more mistakes. The left-back position's been an issue for them, no matter what the manager says. Coming out and praising Zinchenko, saying, oh, he's great. It's a problem, and Liverpool will target that area. And then, obviously, Liverpool's defence has now been, and the goalkeeper has been so much better. So they could play this game any... we're talking to Steve Nicola about it yesterday. He said they could play it any way they want. They could sit off Man City and try and soak it for a bit with the structure they've got, or they could go and press them and really try and stifle the life out of them and win the ball back and City's half. And he thinks that's what Liverpool will do. So it'll be interesting to see how Jurgen Klopp approaches this game, whether it's a cautious approach, which I really don't think it will be, or whether it's to go for the jugular and try and knock the stuffing out of City's title challenge.
Yeah. Prediction time, Mark. I know you guys all love this. You mentioned it, I think, this game a year ago, the same fixture, 5-0 Man City. That seems an era ago, though, doesn't it? A whole different era. What's going to happen tomorrow? What are you thinking?
I think that City will win this game. I just think that if De Bruyne plays, I mean, is he fully fit? We don't know. I just think City have to win the game. When a team has to win, I just think it gives them an extra edge. And I don't see Liverpool coming here to defend and come away with a 0-0. But I do think that they know that they can afford to lose. And I think City know they can't. People keep forgetting how good a team City are. I mean, they won the league by 19 points last season. They've got a great manager in Pep Guardiola, and they'll probably relish the fact that people are almost writing them off already. It's only January, and I think that there's a lot of football to be played this season.
City win for Mark. Do you two concur?
They are a great side, but I do think that Klopp is somebody that he's worried about, and rightly so. And he's mentioned that in press conferences. I'm going to sit in the fence, and I'm going to say Liverpool will get a draw, and they'll be quite happy with that.
Yeah.
I think City at home get a narrow win. Two teams that don't necessarily do narrow results, but I see it as a 1-0 for City.
Let's talk tactics now, because we've spoken about this a number of times on the show. Craig Burley said he's not really a fan of this move when it was just a rumour, because playing time is what Pulisic needs, and he doesn't think he'll get him at Chelsea. But if you're Mauricio Sarri, where are you playing him come next season?
Well, one, Christian Pulisic isn't getting an awful lot of playing time for Borussia Dortmund either right now. But this is a question about next season. And as Chelsea sits right now, I'm not sure exactly where Pulisic fits in. Now, he plays on the right-hand side, on occasion through the middle. So now I'm looking up and down that right-hand channel as to where he fits in. N'Golo Kante has been playing a little bit deeper on that right, not his natural position. And for me, one of the best defensive midfielders in the game, but that's where Jorginho operates. As I look higher up the field, you've got both Pedro and Willian. And the interesting thing well, as far as those two are concerned, is that they're just the wrong side of 30. So maybe this is a signing with an eye for the long term. At a time where, as much interest as there has been around Christian Pulisic, there isn't the bidding war just yet. And maybe Chelsea are thinking, if we left this to the summer, the likes of Liverpool, who've been linked with him, the likes of Manchester United, will all get involved, and that would push the price up. So maybe in that regard, it makes good business sense for Chelsea to pay this price now without the bidding war, know that he's going to arrive in July/August, and that there is a void to be filled. But as of right now, I'm not sure that he gets in ahead of Willian or Pedro. Whether N'Golo Kante is still a Chelsea player come the summer, there's a lot of speculation around him, despite him signing a new contract just a few months ago. So I think there are a lot of moving parts of this that we're not quite sure about and won't be until the summer.
We're looking quickly ahead then to the future now, because he has said that it's been his dream to play in the Premier League, and rightfully so. 20 years old, such a crucial time, especially knowing the talent that he possesses. So what's he going to need to become a success in the Premier League?
Well, I think he has the tools for it. I like Christian Pulisic a lot as a player. Maybe he hasn't gotten the time at Borussia Dortmund with the emergence of a number of talents, including Sancho. But when you see him play for the US team, and I know it's a different level and a different dynamic, but I think he's shown incredible leadership qualities, even for a 20